Give your 2021 and newer two-door Bronco a big injection of attitude with the Flowmaster FlowFX catback. This system is going to be a huge improvement over your factory exhaust and gives you the sound and volume you've been after with a reasonable price tag. And when it comes to volume, this one is going to get a 4 out of 5 on our loudest meter. It's definitely a lot louder than stock, but it's not too over the top where you can't live with it day to day. Whether you have the 2.3 or the 2.7 liter engine in your Bronco, I think we can all agree that the stock exhaust doesn't sound like, well, much of anything. It's very quiet, and for a rig with an attitude like this, that simply will not do. This particular FlowFX is a full 3-inch catback system, which will replace all of your factory mufflers and resonators, opening things up in a big way. Now, as you heard on our Bronco in the sound clips, which has the 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6, right off of aisle, you can hear the difference. The tone is deeper and it's much more aggressive. You can get a little bit of that raspier race car inspired sound as the revs climb. There are also some fun pops and gurgles on the overrun for those of you who enjoy that sort of thing. Now the key is going to be, of course, the 3-inch piping and this one single bullet style FlowFX muffler. Now this thing is not all that big, but there is some baffling inside here to keep the volume to a tolerable level, but it gives you a much more aggressive tone. Inside the cabin, you're going to have more volume as well, but like outside, it's not too overwhelming. You will be much more aware of what the engine is doing with a low hum as you cruise along at highway speeds. But when you take the top off or put your foot down, that's when you really get to appreciate the sound. This system has a lot less restrictions built in, which means that it can also net you some additional power and better response. Being that this is larger diameter piping than factory with less stuff in the way, the exhaust gas flow will be much better, and the system is going to have less back pressure than stock too, which is especially helpful on turbocharged engines. Now, capping the whole thing off are a pair of black ceramic coated 4-inch tips, pairing that aggressive sound with a more aggressive look. Now these still keep things pretty tight to the body of the rig. These come out just below your rear bumper, so if you are doing some off-roading, it's not going to ruin your departure angle, and you won't have to worry about it dragging along if you're hitting any larger obstacles. Like the sound, the look is a huge improvement over stock, and if you want your Bronco to have some more attitude to go with that better sound, this is a great way to do it. The system is made from 409 grade 16 gauge stainless steel. The piping again is all 3 inches in diameter as well, from the flange all the way back to the tips, so you're going to get that really good exhaust flow that we were talking about. The 409 grade stainless means that this is going to give you some good protection against rust and corrosion. If you're using your Bronco in any kind of inclement weather or going off-roading, that's going to be important. Now this won't provide the same level of resistance as T304 stainless, but it also doesn't come with the price tag of T304. Speaking of which, pricing for this one could come around $900, which makes it a pretty affordable option. Especially for a 3-inch catback with dual tips, that's a really solid price. Now you're not going to get all the fanciest features or materials, but this will still give you the sound and look you're after for not a ton of money. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Everything is designed to bolt right up using factory hanger locations, and the hangers that you don't have will bolt right onto factory locations on your Bronco. So you don't need to do any permanent modifications to the vehicle itself in order to get this exhaust fitted. We're going to walk you through that install process step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, an exhaust hanger remover tool, an extension, 1/4-inch Allen socket, 13 and 15 millimeter swivel sockets, 13, 14, and 15 millimeter sockets. Today we're installing an exhaust on our Bronco, so let's get started. Now we're going to start right at the back of our muffler. We've got a 15 millimeter nut on this clamp that we're going to loosen up, and then we can go after our hangers. Next we'll grab an exhaust hanger remover tool to remove our 2 hangers, and then we can wiggle this out of place. Just get a hand on that before you pop the second one free. And then you can just start wiggling this out of place. Next we can follow our mid pipe up to the flange. We have 2 15 millimeter nuts we need to remove, and then we can pop off these 2 13 millimeter bolts as well. So I'm going to grab a 13 millimeter socket first and remove this hanger bracket. And then I'm grabbing a 15 millimeter swivel socket for the 2 flange nuts. Now we can follow this pipe back from the flange to our hanger. We'll take the exhaust hanger remover tool to pop that out, and then we can remove this whole pipe. So now that we have our stock exhaust removed, I'm gonna pop off our hanger and transfer that over to our new pipe. So grab a pair of exhaust hanger remover tool, pop it behind that hanger, and press it off. Then we're gonna bring that over to our new pipe. We have a bolt with a lock washer that we're gonna put through the hanger and then thread into our threaded piece. Just put that bolt through first and then put your lock washer on. I'm gonna take a 1/4 inch Allen socket, start threading that bolt into the threaded portion. And I'm just gonna snug that up with an impact gun. So now right behind the rear bumper, I'm on the driver's side here, we're gonna have to install a hanger. So I've got 2 bolts with flat washers that are gonna go through these 2 smaller holes in the frame. So we're gonna kind of sneak those through. Pop them in. Now I'm gonna do one at a time here so it doesn't fall back into the frame. Slide your hanger on. You want the hanger part up. Slide a lock washer and a nut onto the other side of that bolt. And then we're gonna get our other bolt on the other side. Swing your hanger up, put your bolt through, and then get that same lock washer and nut on there. Then grab a 14mm socket and tighten those down. Now on the passenger side, we're gonna bolt our bracket right on top of our factory hanger. Now I am gonna take an exhaust hanger remover tool and pop off this hanger because this is just gonna get in the way. And I'll grab my hanger. Again, I want this up. And I'm gonna take the 2 lock nuts included in the kit, thread those onto my studs. And then just straighten that out and take a 13mm socket to tighten down your nut. So now we're gonna take our front pipe and mount that up to our flex pipe here. And then we're gonna get this locating pin for the hanger up into the frame. Now, if you've got a lot of miles on your Bronco, you might wanna replace this gasket while you're here. Now, we don't have one included in the kit, so I'm gonna reuse our factory one. So slide that on, get your hanger up into place. I'm gonna thread on our factory nuts onto the flange to hold that. Then I'm gonna grab the bolts for the hanger. I'm gonna thread those in. You might have to rotate this hanger a little bit to get them to line up. And now I'm using a 13mm swivel socket to tighten down my 2 hanger bolts. And now I'm gonna switch to my 15mm swivel socket to get my 2 flange nuts. Now next we're gonna install our over axle pipe. So I'm gonna take one of my clamps and slide it over the edge of my pipe. And then I'm gonna snake this up over the axle and then connect it to my front pipe. And we're gonna raise this up and get it into our hanger. So now line it up with the hole in your isolator and wiggle that in. So now I'm gonna take my rubber isolators that are included in the kit and put them up onto the hangers that we bolted to the frame earlier. just go ahead and slide that right on. And then do the same thing on the other side and we'll get our muffler installed. So now take your other clamp and slide that over your muffler inlet. And then slide that onto your over axle pipe. And then we're going to install our rods into our isolators. On this side, I'm going to take that isolator off. I'm going to slide it onto my muffler hanger first and then slide it back on. And now we just have to go back and tighten down our two clamps. So for this one, we're right above our track bar, so I'm going to take a 15mm swivel socket and tighten that clamp down. Make sure it's right on the edge of your pipe and then crank it down. And now we'll come back to our other clamp, take a 15mm socket and tighten it down. So now for the isolators that we added, we have a couple clips just to make sure that these isolators don't slip off. So we're just going to put it right onto the hanger rod, just like that. And then I'm just going to take a 15mm socket because it fits right around the edge nicely. And I'm just going to give it a couple taps. And then you're going to do that on the other side of that isolator as well. Then do that same thing for your other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Flowmaster FlowFX catback exhaust system with black tips for your 2021 and newer two-door Bronco. Thank you for watching, and for all things Bronco, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.